What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler and Chris Randone. Chris, you had a hostage situation, but you came out alive. How are things going with you?
Oh man, we're feeling a little rough right now. Feeling sick, but I'll tell you what, I'm happy to get the hell out of Miami. Feels good to be back here. Now I can just get back to my routine and bet, do some lineups, and it feels good. So I'm happy to be back on the show with you guys today.
Yeah, sorry to hear that you're under the weather. I'm actually just getting over it. I think I'm going to go back and do some of my work this afternoon. I finally popped negative. I can leave the house again. DoorDash is over. Instacart's over. Time to rejoin the real world. Tyler, man, NBA last night. What's up with the Nuggets? Man, why did we take the Nuggets? You told me not to do it yesterday.
I hate that team. I hate the fat 300-pound center that doesn't know how to shoot the damn ball.
I mean, to be
just
fair,
that whole team, they never won.
The center's not the problem. The problem is that you have all the salary going to Jamal Murray and Michael Porter, and you're getting nothing there. Like, what's Jamal Murray now? The 100th best player in the league?
Yeah,
he's on a max contract. Yeah, It's just absolutely terrible watching that team. And then you watch Dallas; they're kind of doing the same thing, but they don't have the same salary cap restrictions. It feels like to me because their money's more evenly spread out. Those two contracts are going to be a pain, and it was kind of disappointing watching Denver. I mean, I know you like to rag on Jokic, but if you watched last night, they play real close. Jokic goes to the bench. Dallas built an 8-point lead. It reminds me of LeBron when he was in Cleveland, on those playoff teams. It's just they can't absorb his bench minutes at all. I know Bones Highland's cool, but just not enough going on there in Denver. And of course, they'll probably figure it out and make us eat our words by the end of the night. So Detroit got the win over Miami, right? Tyler Hero did well for us, though, right? We love that on the show.
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, they love that on the show after ours. I'm like, did you guys watch us? Because Tyler was the first one to say that. And then what was the first game we had? Oh, the Lakers and the Cavaliers. Tyler, did you see that one, and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I watched that one. It sucked to see AD get stretched out on that rebound, go to the back. I swore it was going to be back tightness that kept him out for the rest of the game, and then they hit him with a flu-like symptoms tag. So I don't know what to make of that for tonight. I don't know if that was just one of them things where he was feeling under the weather, didn't want to play that night. Or maybe it was the fact that Jared Allen popped up active on the game, and he's like, I'm not banging down there with that center who's actually going to put up some competition. So I'm going to take the night off. I'll be interested to see if he shows up here tonight against a smaller Toronto team.
Yeah, Chris, the Lakers finally get on a roll. As a Lakers hater, I'm worried that they're going to be running back to the top of the standings. And then, AD goes to the locker room. It felt like the whole team went with him. Did you watch
catch
the Lakers
what Mitchell told LeBron after he hit the 3 to end the game spread?
What?
He told him to go the F home.
No, he didn't. Did you really?
Yeah.
He must have been messing around because they were doing the whole dap and stuff after the game and talking. Did you watch that game, Chris?
No, I didn't. Your boy was knocked out, fully asleep. So any sports last night that went on, I did not watch whatsoever.
All right. Well, we're going to get you some winners tonight, whether or not you're able to watch them. Let's start with the Los Angeles Clippers, who are in Orlando taking on the Magic. Clippers laying 7, total of 217 here. Tyler, my projections really like the Clippers. We just talked about it on the NBA playbook, which is available on runpuresports.com. Head on over, become a member. Hey, also hit that thumbs up. I've been forgetting the last couple days. I've been under the weather, but now that I'm back full strength, be reminded, you guys, hit that thumbs up button, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Away we go. Projections really like the Clippers here, Tyler. And what are your thoughts? It's kind of an interesting injury report here with Paul George and Kawhi in, but the rest of the guys out, right? It's opposite of what we're used to seeing. Kennard's out, Morris out, Norm Powell out, and John Wall out there. On the other side, boy, the Magic have one of the worst injury reports in the league. I mean, who's their trainer? Like that Dr. Chow guy from the Chargers?
I don't need to cut you off, but if you could bet the Raptors right now, both guys just got ruled out, LeBron and AD.
Well, good thing. I already bet them when we were talking.
And Pat Beverly's now doubtful.
Yeah. I wonder how much they can really make it, though, because it was already -9. I wonder what it'll reopen at 12. But
yeah, that's my guess, 12, 11 and a half, somewhere in there.
Good thing I bet it while we were doing the playbook. So we'll see why that number reopens up. But let's talk about this Clippers game real quick. Chris, let's start with you. Clippers laying 7 in Orlando. Orlando has lost 9 in a row.
Yeah, 9-game losing streak. I mean, like you said, with the injury report, it's atrocious. If George and Kawhi are in, I mean, it's a 7-point spread at the moment. I really like the Clippers here just to kind of dominate. You know, I think it's Orlando versus San Antonio to the race for Victor for that number 1 pick. And I don't think this is a game that's going to, you know, get in the way of that. I think they're going to lay down. I think 7 points is actually very doable. And like you said, with the projections, Clippers do stand out, you know, DFS purposes. The only guy from Orlando that seems to be getting any types of looks here early on. And as you know, there's still a lot of time till tonight. But Markel Fultz, what is he, 5,200 on DraftKings. He's getting some ownership, and he grades out pretty well per his price point per dollar. So, but outside of that, yeah, man, the Clippers, they look pretty solid. I will say, though, it is kind of unfortunate because of the depth with John Wall and Powell out. I really like them coming off the bench because they're both playmakers. Got John Wall, facilitating, and Powell has, had his on and off games, but he's a scorer. So when it comes to the depth, I do like that. But outside of that, I mean, George and Kawhi is a huge upgrade to this lineup.
What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be on the Clippers here. Even with the guys missing, you have the 2 key guys there. And looking at their props, they're pretty short. I mean, Kawhi to have 3.5 assists, and he's probably going to be the main ball handler. I like that. And just all the guys out for Orlando, outside of Paulo, they really don't have anything. Like, I know Bull's like the talk of the town this year. He has looked better. But no Wendell Carter, no Gary Harris, no Suggs, and no Akiki. There's just no real place for them to score points from. Is Cole Anthony going to be the guy that wins them this game? I don't think so. So give me the Clippers here. The only props I would bet in this one would be that Kawhi over 3.5 assists, or I would go to Paulo's points plus rebounds and assists at 30.5, because I don't think they really pay him much mind on the defensive end. You're on mute, Spread.
Spread, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. The Lakers game just reopened at 11. The Toronto Raptors are now minus 11, hosting Lakers 227.5. Tyler, we talked about this one yesterday. I said that, I thought this was going to be a terrible spot for the Lakers regardless, with the emotional game last night. I know LeBron was geeked up for that game. And I'll tell you what, I know the Cavaliers pulled away at the end, but for the most of the game, the Lakers were in striking distance. It really did feel like the game could go either way. And, credit to the Cavaliers for really closing it out. I mean, that's what championship teams do, right? They control those last 5 minutes of the game. But I thought the Lakers played pretty well, but still, that's an emotional loss. And we've talked about the tough flight, getting into Canada late at night. So now the Raptors are laying 11. That's probably past my projections, although my original projections did have LeBron in, not AD. We thought AD might be it. No, now I'm sitting right on 11. So if you got that earlier number, good for you. If not, I would say this is kind of a stay away now. And we like the over there on the projections, but I don't necessarily love it because, as Tyler always says, who's going to score for this team? And sometimes I push back a little and I say, hey, these guys are all NBA players, but in the Lakers case, are they? Like, how many of these guys make rosters on other teams, let alone get playing time, right? So it moved to 11.5. People are loving Toronto here. I think they blow them out. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. They blow them up, but I think I found a better way to approach this than laying that 11.5 points.
You got a performance double?
Nope. Winning at the end of every quarter, Toronto's minus 115. So basically they come out, they're up 30 to 25 at the end of the first. They just never look back. Do we think LA at any point in this game when that buzzer goes off that they were leading at the end of a quarter? I don't think so.
Point. I like that.
I think Toronto just goes out and they just coast to coast this game. So I'm going to take that bet over laying the 11.5. Just because 11.5, Toronto's up, say 18 towards the end of the game. They pull the guys. LA's just chucking threes. A couple go in. Now they win the game by 10 and you get backdoored. So I'm just going to stick with that. They're winning at the end of every quarter. I get better odds on that, and they can win the game by 1 in the end.
All right, I like that. Now, Chris, what became an unattractive game for betting is now attractive for daily fantasy purposes. I say that these guys, right, probably wouldn't be making a lot of lineups, but NBA DFS is about usage, and the usage is going to be available. How do we adjust? And like, is just the Lakers going to be too popular? Like, what goes on here now when we're building our lineups?
Yeah, I mean, I think what they'll first do is look at Thomas Bryant. I believe he's very cheap, 3,100 on this slate. He gets a significant bump, obviously, with all those guys, especially AD off. And another one is Russell Westbrook, right? He's 6,500. He was already, grading pretty well per his salary. but that's going to probably see a significant bump now because of the usage.
He's going to be higher than Kuminga now?
I think Kuminga is just way too cheap given the fact of the kind of playing time that he's going to get tonight. But I mean, I think we'll see definitely a bump. Russell Westbrook wasn't getting any exposure before this news. So, I agree with Tyler. I think I want to stay away from like betting this game in regards to a spread standpoint. But I will say, I think Siakam's going to eat. I think Barnes will eat. And OG, I mean, these guys are just going to probably just have fun, play their 35 plus minutes. And I do like that kind of bet. I don't know where he bets that at, leading that after every quarter, but yeah, I just think Toronto just smashed.
Where'd you find that at, FanDuel?
It's on FanDuel, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have those out here. Where do you use them? You're using offshores like me, right?
Yeah, we like me and my buddies, we have a bookie that we run through. So when he just said like bet the Raptors, I went to go on my phone to go check, and the guy took it off. So it's like, or whoever took it off, the servers or whatever. So I didn't get a chance to actually like see if there was a bet there.
We'll talk after the show. Let me see what skin you're on, because some of those skins are late. Most of the guys usually just pay a amount to a service and they get the same numbers, but they're stale a lot more often than these offshore sites that take a lot sharper action. The good thing about that is most likely, your competitors or, the other people using the site aren't that sharp. So the guy running your site doesn't really need to worry about it.
Speaking of that spread, I finally found those ads online. Like they tried to just hide those back in the back of the internet files on YouTube. All the things about the California gambling we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, your kid's going to be addicted to FanDuel. We finally found those videos. Those are hilarious.
Yeah, they're one of them where they say, can you believe these suckers are sending all their money to New York? So great job not getting it legalized there for us.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Tyler, my projections like the Knicks, but we don't like the matchup here, right? I mean, the Hawks have always had the Knicks number. Boy, what a better place for Trae Young to kind of put some of this controversy to rest than his home away from home, Madison Square Garden tonight. So my projections like the Knicks, but I just threw them out the window, and I'm not going to play this game. But I think you could make a good argument for the Hawks here on the money line. Let's start with you, Tyler. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you can make good arguments for either side on the money line because.
So what's your Knicks argument? I think that one's tougher.
I think it's the same thing we talked about. Atlanta just seems to be in turmoil right now. Their best player and their coach are arguing. He's sitting out games. He's not showing up to practice. Other players are turning on him. They lost the game outright to OKC, I believe, a couple nights ago. We were on that. Our guy JC gave that out. And it's just like now they play a better team here in the Knicks. Can the Knicks come out and I'd basically call this a rivalry game too, because these two teams have just went at it since that playoff series.
Right.
Can the Knicks come out? They looked great in that first game when they played each other too. It looked like they were going to cruise, but then Atlanta came back and won. I just think the Knicks can't score from the perimeter enough to keep this Atlanta team away. I think this is where Atlanta gets back on track. Give me Atlanta to win this game outright in the Garden. Trae Young puts up huge numbers. Everyone's booing him. He's loving his villain role, and he scores 30 in the win.
Yeah, that might be just what he needs to kind of get back on track and then quiet those doubters down there in Atlanta. I'll tell you what, I wonder if some of his teammates are playing with DeJounte Murray and just liking it more. I know they both have like the same usage, but it feels like DeJounte works for his shots a little more, works it in the shot clock. Trae's just chucking from way behind the arc. And I wonder how that's going over now that they're dealing with the star that's actually a little more team-oriented. Chris, what are your thoughts on the Hawks and the Knicks?
Yeah, the Trae Young situation is very interesting. Last time they were in the Garden earlier this year, he had a horrible game. I think he was like 7 of like 22, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I bet it's over that night. I remember writing that up.
Yeah, Deontay though 8, man, and so for me, it's like both of these guys aren't going to get any ownership in DFS first off, but if Deontay kind of replicates what he did last time, I mean, he had like 5 steals that game, if I'm not mistaken. He just absolutely went berserk. But what's crazy is I think the Knicks get them here tonight, believe it or not. I just right now it's like Tyler said, there's a little turmoil going on. They've lost 4 of their last 6. The only 2 wins were against 2 not so great teams in that stretch. For me personally, I think the Knicks here are the better team currently. That I just feel like they're playing better basketball, and I think this is a smash spot given with the injuries. With Collins out, Mitchell Robinson and Randall, I think just eat here. So for me, I really do like the Knicks from a betting perspective. And then outside of that, though, from DFS, you can definitely go Robinson, Brunson, Randall, Barrett. All these guys are getting looked at. They're getting ownership, and they grade out pretty well. So projections right now currently like the Knicks, like you said, especially from a DFS standpoint.
I'm curious about the Knicks. Have a little bit of I don't know if it's like turmoil, but they do have trade rumors swirling around them. Did you guys see the reports there? That of course the Knicks are trying to move the bad contracts.
Bench guys though. It's Fournier who hasn't played a minute in forever, and quickly
right, but it's quickly is in the talks.
Yeah, but he's a bench point guard. I don't think he affects too much. Like, it's not like they're like, all right, we're dealing a starter.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on then. The Charlotte Hornets are +10 in Brooklyn, taking on the Nets. I had a slight edge to Charlotte here. Not enough to really bet it. I didn't have a huge edge here on the over. I do think 10 might be a little bit too much here. Are the Nets in a spot where they can blow a team out there, Tyler?
I mean, if there was ever a spot they could blow somebody out, it should be right here. But
right,
I'm not sure this team does that. Like, I think Charlotte hangs around, and then in the end, Brooklyn wins the game. It's just, which guy do you think goes off? It's probably Kevin Durant. So, like, a Kevin Durant 30-plus points and Brooklyn win at +150 would probably be a better bet than me than laying the 10. But the other one, I think we marked this in the playbook. We love the over here. I think we get a ton of points. I think if scores ran up, that 222.5, I think should be closer to 230. So, yeah, I like Brooklyn here to pick up the win. I'm not going to lay the 10. I'd rather play it through a Durant performance double. And I like the over here also.
All right. So we really like the over here. I have a slight lean to the Hornets, but I didn't play it. What are your thoughts on this game, Chris?
Yeah, I like the overcall. 222, I think, in this type of scoring opportunity, especially from the Charlotte side with these guys like Oubre chucking and PJ Washington. I mean, these guys are projected for 30-plus, fantasy points tonight. So, and then you got obviously Durant and Irving. The spread is something where I kind of like to shy away from, big spreads like this. But I do see the potential for the over 222. And then from a DFS standpoint, once again, people are going to go to Nick Claxton. I called it last week when I said it just wasn't worth it to go there. He ended up being a dud, didn't actually exceed expectations. Tonight, he's getting another potential 15% ownership, 6,200 at center. I think he could easily pivot to a lot of other players. And I think that's going to change too with the Thomas Bryant situation as well. That hasn't been updated yet. So for me, yeah, from a DFS standpoint, I don't think I'm going to go anywhere in this game, maybe outside a little bit of Oubre. But other than that, this is kind of like a stay away game for me, to be honest with you.
All right. Yeah. And I think that's fine from both perspectives. So Tyler, we'll bet an over and we'll not worry about the side. The Indiana Pacers are +5 in Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. Tyler, we're waiting for some news here, though, right? Has anything happened since we talked about this 15 minutes ago?
No, I mean, with this game starting at 8, too, I don't think we get this news as quick as we got the other ones.
And the news that I'm talking about, of course, is many key players here on Indiana questionable. Jalen Smith, Tyrese Halliburton, TJ McConnell, Miles Turner. I don't know if you want to call James Johnson key, but four guys
they
that
get
are
into
really
a fight.
key.
He is very key.
I know. I would not want to mess with that dude. So I don't know. I'm completely off this game right now until we get the news. Chris, let's talk about that. Let's say these guys sit. How attractive are these Indiana guys, and who do we approach there if they're all out? Is it Buddy Hield season? I mean, are we able to do that? What do we do?
If all these guys sit, I might be willing to pay $5,600 for dual eligibility. Andrew Nembhard, guy's kind of been balling, believe it or not.
Oh, he's been balling, yeah.
He just, I think he just played against Golden State.
The Warriors.
And
put up huge numbers.
He shot like 20-plus shots. He had 64.5 fantasy points. I mean, the dude's just been absolutely cooking, especially his last, five of last 6 games or something like that. So I think the price tag, I love the fact that it's jumped, because if we do see guys out like Halliburton, I think I'm going to go there. I think I will have some shares of him. And also, too, it's a good matchup for him. So I like him. I like D'Angelo Russell a lot. He grades out very well tonight at that $7K price tag. Jalen Smith, if Miles Turner doesn't play, I think I might have to go with Jalen Smith as well. He's so volatile in his production, but he does have the upside. And I think for me, that's kind of what I want to bet on. So, I just like to see him, not get in foul trouble, which has been something that's difficult for him. It seems like he always gets 2 or 3 fouls in the first half, and then it just limits his opportunity on the floor. So he's someone that definitely is a consideration. He's still at a realistic price point given if Miles Turner doesn't play. So yeah, I think that's where I'll go, in regards to this. And I think maybe some shares of Kyle Anderson. He's just someone that he's still cheap. He's dual eligible on DraftKings. Ownership's going there, but 4,700. If he gets 30 fantasy points, that's a win. So just keep something to be open to that as well.
I mean, I think this slate really just illustrates how important it is to have a team like Run Pure Sports helping you out when you're making these lineups. There's going to be so many moving parts. There's so much news that we're waiting on. And we can start to fill out a lineup now, but I just feel like so much stuff is going to change. So we're giving you an early look, but these guys are going to be providing your cores. I mean, are you doing a core today? I mean, your core, you usually can't go up till like a half hour before lock at earliest, right? I mean, with all this news we're waiting on, are you doing a core for the team today?
I usually don't do NBA cores, or at least I haven't kind of dove into that. I usually do like the showdown and sometimes on Sunday where I just post it in Discord for everyone. I do a lot of optimized simulations where I just run thousands of lineups and then I see what kind of populates in the optimal and stuff. And does that give me kind of like an edge on the field if I'm over the field or under the field? So, but maybe, once football's over, I'll do some more NBA for that. But, I'm waiting for my baseball. So that's my sport. So I'll definitely be hands-on every day with that.
Excellent. So, Chris does the cores for baseball and showdown, but of course, the rest of our guys, Hoop, AP, Big T, JSU, Mangone, they're all going to be putting out cores there and helping us adjust as we get this news. So make sure you head on over to Run Pure Sports, join the team, and start winning with us. Tyler, am I missing any value here if I don't bet this game?
I don't think so. I mean, we got 11 games. We've talked about the Timberwolves. I mean, they do look a bit better without one big man in the lineup.
I think they look way better.
Yeah.
They do, but at the same time, it's like I still don't trust this team. The Pacers have looked good. If Halliburton's in, I could see him just torching this defense and just dragging this Pacers team to a win. So probably a stay away from me. And Spread, we never talked about Rudy Gobert's little incident where he got knocked over by a much smaller player. Then he just cuts his legs out from under him. Did you see
what happened? I didn't see that. No.
You didn't see
I'm
that?
like Chris. I've been sleeping through a lot of the stuff.
It was dirty. I'll say that. He got knocked over. He looked up at the guy, and as the guy went to run away, he kicks his legs out from under him and then kicks him while he's down.
Who was it?
It was that Kendrick Williams from OKC. Well, as he's
Pat Bev taught him that.
Well, as he's trying to get his lanky ass off the floor, Williams is already over top of him, just like standing over top of him, yelling at him, and the refs are all coming in. I was like, Rudy, you need to stop with that. You're not a physical player. Now you're trying to get guys pissed off. You're playing dirty. Teams already don't like you because of the COVID thing. Now you're just making a bad name for yourself. So I could see the Pacers maybe sticking it to him for that.
I'm sure there's a French surrender joke in there, but I don't have it in me today. The Sacramento Kings are +7 in Milwaukee, taking on the Bucks, total of 236. Tyler, we're so excited about the team here. I mean, people are putting memes out, right? Kings treat every win like we won the NBA Finals, and we do because we're just simply not used to winning. It's a lot of fun in this town tonight, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be having fun against the NBA's best. As you said before we went on, Tyler, how are they going to stop Giannis, right? Sabonis is not a good defender to begin with. Then you're going against the best big man in the league. I think it's going to be a rough scene there for the Kings tonight, and I do think this total's too high. The Kings have been trending under. I wonder how much that has to do with the new rules. I know usually the scoring increases during the season, but with the increased emphasis on the travels and the carrying, offensive rating actually went down from November to October, which usually doesn't happen. I know that we were hating unders to start the year, but Tyler, now unders are becoming a little more viable. I like the Bucks here, and I like the under. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you both there. I think the Bucks are slowly starting to morph into that championship team, getting Middleton back now. Lopez looks like a defensive player of the year candidate. Giannis is a top 2 player in the league. This team's just going to start.
Who's better than Giannis?
I said top 2 because some people will argue Luka because of the way he's playing, but it's just 1 or 2 with those 2 guys. I think it just all depends on your preference.
I just like Giannis because he can get him a stop for me too.
Yeah, I think Giannis is the best player because the defense helps out a bit more. So, and as for this game, like Fox is probably getting guarded by Holiday, going to slow him down a ton. Sabonis versus Lopez, I don't like that matchup one bit for him. I just don't see how the Kings keep this up unless these role players are just shooting the lights out. So give me the Bucks minus the 6.5. I think Giannis is just unstoppable tonight. So like a 30+ and win on him isn't a bad idea. His double and win is only minus 116. So I don't hate playing that. You knock the points off the spread. You basically need them to win by 1. And as for the under, I mean, I don't think the Kings score a lot here at 234.5. Unless the Bucks
236 offshore right now.
Oh, 236. Unless the Bucks hang $1.25, I don't see this going over. So yeah, definitely like the under.
Chris, we talked about all the value that's going to be opened up as we continue to monitor this injury news. And of course, you know what that means. Stars and scrubs becomes viable. But for it to become viable, you have to nail your spend ups. To me, Giannis seems like the guy I want to spend up for. Do you agree?
It might be too big of a slate, but then again, devil's advocate, you know, he's not projected as maybe we've seen another. He's projected under 60 fantasy points tonight. To be honest with you, around 54, 55. So
that's funny because his prop total has just gone up and up all morning. Like I was telling Tyler when I was writing this morning, NBA props, he went from like minus 110 to minus 140 on his point total in like 20 minutes.
Well, that's interesting. Then that obviously that will be, have to update that and see. But currently right now, like last week when we really liked Giannis, he was like at 61 or 62. And so given the projection currently, it's hard to say, okay, like I like him just as much. But devil's advocate, low ownership, people will not pay that price tag. So, on a large slate like this, if he does smash, like maybe we're thinking here, and he does get that 70, 80 point burger, then obviously, that's a smash spot, right? Sub 2% ownership projection wise. No one's going in this game, actually, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy because the over under is 236. Yeah. But it's hard to pay these price points for a lot of people. I will say though, if Sacramento, they've won 10 of their last 13, if they can keep it close, I don't mind De'Aaron Fox here. He's got a lot of upside at 8,600, believe it or not. And, Drew Holiday at 7,700 as well. So if we think that this game does go off, and we play those guards, that could be huge upside in GBP play.
Yeah, so it was funny. I actually was looking at Fox when I was doing props this morning, trying to find out something for this game. But Tyler nailed my concern for me there. Holiday's got to be one of the best defenders in the NBA here. Even if he doesn't like shut him down, I wonder if he just funnels him to. And look at the guys.
Look at the guys waiting behind him if he even does beat Holiday off the dribble. You got two guys who can just beat the ball right off the backboard and send it the other way.
Yeah. So, we'll see how that one goes. He's probably projected for low ownership too, right? I mean, none of these Kings are popping. Sabonis hasn't – I mean, his points
no one's going to this game.
Okay.
I know. And Sabonis actually pops pretty well too at 9,300. But once again, no one is really looking at this game, at least as of right now. But, I mean, things can change. But I just don't think, and this could be that game. And 236 is a very high over under, so it's just interesting that no one really wants to attack this game on this slate.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that too. I'll be interested to see if people are attacking this next one because we're gonna have to talk about the spend ups here. The Oklahoma City Thunder are now 7.5 taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Tyler, you told me that Memphis is going to get a bunch of people back. This is the 2 point guards we like to argue over, right? Shea versus Ja. And I wrote up Shea this morning, and I said, he's gone over his point total in his last 7 games, right? He's gone over 30 because he's sitting at 29.5. But the last time he did it was 17 against Memphis, in Memphis. So, so something's got to give there. Will Memphis be able to shut down Shea again is the big question. Of course, if they do, I don't see how they anywhere keep it close. It's going off the board for me right now. I wonder if we're going to get some news as we're speaking. But Tyler, Memphis laying 7.5 now. They've been taking money since we started the show.
Yeah, I mean, for this game for me, I'm probably going to be on Memphis with the guys coming back. Jaw's back, Jaren Jackson's back, Colin Char's back. The only guy who really isn't back is going to be Desmond Bane, who's been out forever. Mm-hmm. I just think you said it. They were able to slow SGA down. They know he is the only guy on this team, really. Like, if you contain him, like, he's not going to score 40 on you and beat you. If Lou Dort beats you, he beats you. There's no other guy really on that team that could shoot the ball very well. So I'm going to side with Memphis here to pick up the win. The 6.5 worries me a bit. I'll probably play it.
It's the 7.5, and let me see what it reopens at.
Yeah, I'll probably play it through a performance double instead. Like, you could do Steven Adams 12+ rebounds and Memphis wins plus 160. Mm-hmm. Ja Morant double and win plus 150. Him to score 32 and win plus 200. Those would be some routes I would come at this game instead of just laying the 6.5. just in case OKC does play this tight, SGA is going off late. This becomes like a 2-point game with 2 minutes to go, and now the spread's out the window.
Yeah, I think if I were to take the spread, I would take the points here. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, I think Memphis destroys them tonight.
Oh, wow. Why is that?
Well, I think with Jaren Jackson and Steve Adams there, Jaren Jackson back in the lineup, this is just, even though Bane's not in, this is still a really good, solid lineup here. And I think it's just too much for OKC. They're a minus 300 money line, and that was at what, 6.5, like you guys said, and now it's got bumped a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, for me, it seems like they really like Memphis here tonight. So I think Steven Adams is in a pretty good spot here, though, smash-wise, going against his former team. Didn't fare too well against them earlier this year, but, at 5,500, if he can play his 30-plus minutes, he has double-double upside. Jaren Jackson, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's 7,100. I think he's in a great spot as well. And then John Morant, I know we have that discussion, SGA. Unfortunately, John Morant at just $300 more tonight is projected about 6.5 more fantasy points than SGA in this situation. So, okay. Yeah, but outside of that, though, I'm not really looking at anything else besides maybe a couple shares of Josh Giddey. And then, obviously, I don't mind John Conchar. He kind of does a lot, at the 3. He can do it all, and he's also dual eligible on DraftKings, so he's pretty cheap, 4,700 with Bane out of the lineup. He'll probably get his, 30-plus minutes, if he takes his 6-7 shots. But, what we want to make sure he's on the defensive side because he does have steal upside and then also rebound. So if he just got a couple more assists in his box score, he could be a 30, plus point fantasy guy. So curious to see kind of, fitting him in some lineups tonight potentially.
All right. Well, there you have it. Anything more on this game, Tyler, before we move on?
Nope. That's pretty much it for me on that one.
All right. Yeah, that game hasn't come back up on the board. I'll let you know what Offshore's dealing when it comes back up. The Detroit Pistons are now plus 10.5 in New Orleans, taking on the Pelicans. Total 229. We had a question in the chat. Bucks money line, Nets money line, Pelicans money line. What y'all think? I mean, I'll probably hit.
I don't hate it.
I don't even know if you're going to get minus 100 though.
That's the thing, though. You're paying a lot of juice to get that.
Yeah, that's like minus 520, minus 490, and minus like 250.
You're probably, if you bet 100, you'll probably win 60 to 70. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I don't know for sure, but
FanDuel hangs on minus 111 with all 3 of those teams in there.
Oh, really? Well, I guess that's not that bad then.
It's not too bad.
About 50-50. So, all right. But let's talk about this game. The Pelicans minus 10.5, but the Pistons have been foiling some plans here. Tyler, they're playing pretty well. At first they were really struggling without Cade, but it's got Jaden Ivey a chance to go ahead and develop as a playmaker, ball handler, creator, and then of course you get Bogdanovic, who's had extra usage and he's taking advantage of it. It's kind of funny watching him play out there. Like, a guy can't create separation at all, but he still is able to get good shots off. So interesting things going on there. Actually, if anyone would ruin this, I think the Pistons might ruin it. But of course, they did play last night. That was in Miami. Tough travel. What do you think, Tyler? Are you laying 10.5 with the Pelicans?
If I had to, I'd say yes. I just don't trust the Detroit Pistons. They're playing a short rotation. Now they're on a back-to-back. Off multiple wins. They've played well recently. They got to come back down to earth with these bench guys. I think this Pelicans team, who sits 2 in the West right now, look like a contender. I think this is the team that does it. Even missing Ingram, I think Zion and these guys will be enough. Like a Zion 25-plus points in the Pelicans wins plus 110. CJ to score 20-plus in the Pelicans win plus 135. That would be some ways I would come at this game instead of laying the 10.5. But if you can't get those performance doubles, I do like the 10.5 here. I think they win this game by at least 15.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, believe it or not, when watching New Orleans in the playoffs last year against the Suns, later on after the NBA season, I hammered New Orleans to win the West. And also to be the number 1 seed. So I'm liking where they're sitting right now. I think this is a very complete team. They have depth. And, to be honest with you, when Brandon Ingram's back in this lineup, this is a well-rounded team. I mean, a team that can do it all. So I love New Orleans here. It's like you said, there's got to be some regression for Detroit, especially for Alex Burke off the bench. I mean, he's just been a little bit hot, especially last game as well. Zion here, keep playing him until he's past 10K. It's just, even though CJ's back in the lineup, doesn't matter. The usage is there. A lot more upside and opportunity for him still with Brandon Ingram out of the lineup. So 9,600, he grades out well. Public won't play him. Love it. Regardless, even if it's a blowout or not, I still think he gets there. I still think he drops 50 fantasy points tonight. And outside of that, maybe some shares of CJ McCollum, 7,300. But outside of, maybe some Bodon if he chucks 15 plus shots again. But I just think there's regression.
I think he's going to. I think the usage is going to be there. It's just, is he tired and it's a better I mean, I know the Heat are supposed to be good defensively, but
when you're missing your guys, you're not all that good defensively.
Yeah. It's just, if he does take the 15 plus shots and, he's making his 3-pointers. I mean, he made 7 of 9 last night against the Miami team. So, yeah.
And like I said, there wasn't a lot of space on those. I mean, those really weren't quality shots. It's just, besides Jaden Ivey, no one else can create on that team.
Yeah. I mean, except, Alec Burks, for some reason, he obviously he's just a ball hog shooter, so off the bench, he's going to take a lot of shots. And if those go in, then so be it. But I do think regression is due. They're minus 520, like we spoke about a little bit earlier. I think it's a smash spot for New Orleans. I like them here.
Yeah.
Spread, you were sick over the weekend, so you probably didn't catch it, but Jose Alvarado brought out a flamethrower on Sunday. He scored like 40 points and only missed like 5 shots in a game.
Oh, yeah. On one of the podcasts I listened to, they call him Grand Theft Alvarado. I like that.
He was on fire on Sunday.
Yeah. So, Chris, the one thing I was going to say, though, is you're a little late to the party because Tyler and AP were giving out the Pelicans to win the West on our NBA previews that we did in early October. So, hey,
that was my pick to win it all.
Yeah, I think Tyler loved them. AP jumped on them. I was a little skeptical, but I've been sitting here eating my words. But fortunately, I listened to these guys, and so I have a little piece myself because when you give out numbers like that, right? Even if you disagree, what was the number you were giving out there?
I think you were like 60-1 preseason.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, well, you can't really argue with that because it gets down to the math, and it's like less than 1%. So it's like, how am I even like? I don't think my brain's able to calculate. It's almost like your brain can't really figure out how big space is. How far away we really are for the sun. My brain can't calculate.
That's why that game went off the board earlier. The OKC game.
It reopened exactly the same for me. So, he says that West Coast Jim says that you're fashionably late to the party. Fashionably late. So,
the thing that I like here is the fact that we're all on the same page. So, I'm late to the party, but hey, we're all a like-minded individual. So
the tickets all cash the same.
Yeah, so if we can just cash in those tickets, I'll take it.
And it's fun, man. It's fun for a franchise like New Orleans that really hasn't had a lot of success. We're really treated like by garbage by their last star. And, now they got a guy that's really worth building around. So I'm happy for the people of New Orleans. The Washington Wizards are now plus 5.5 in Chicago, taking on the Bulls. Tyler, the numbers move, so I guess I have like a small lean to the under here. But I originally projected this one to be -5, right around -5 and a 225. This was my closest one. I don't see DJ in the chat, but I'm sure he's going to love it. I mean, my guy Clyde. What are your thoughts here, Tyler? I didn't really want to get involved in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I like betting Washington when they're at full strength. No Bradley Beal tonight, which kind of pushes me away from them. But then they're playing a team I like to fade in the Bulls. So it's like it's tough for me to just bet this game all around. On this 11-game slate, I probably just scroll right past this one, to be honest with you, Spread.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Chris, what are your thoughts here? Because also both teams are pretty close to full strength. We have a ton of value on the board. Can we cross this game off the list, or am I missing something if I'm not playing players here?
Believe it or not, obviously it's still early, but there's like 5 or 6 guys getting plus 10% ownership here.
No way. Who?
Vucevic, Kuzma, Monte Morris, Porzingis, Denny Advita, and Zach LaVine. And then Caruso almost as well, 3,500. Yeah. So obviously that might change, but I will say if this guy does stay under the scene and no one kind of just looks at him, I think a guy who can, definitely have a lot of upside for you tonight if you're looking for a cheap guy is Daniel Gafford, 3,400, Washington center. He's grading out pretty well. He's showing up in a lot of optimals so far. And, if you look at his last 2 games, very efficient. He's only going to play, 20, 22 minutes possibly. But I'll tell you what, man, for those 20, 22 minutes, he has double-double upside. And the biggest thing with him is, he can block. He's averaging like 1.1, 1.2 blocks a game. So I don't mind him whatsoever, especially if they can keep him in the rotation. and give him that 20 to 22 minutes. So be on the lookout. Daniel Gafford, especially with Rui Hachimura out, I think he can possibly get there. 3,400. So maybe he's like a pivot from like a Thomas Bryant or a Kuminga, if you're trying to get different and have a little bit of edge on the field.
I love that call because he might even see more minutes with Vucevic on the other side because Porzingis won't be able to guard him in the post. They might have to leave Gafford on the floor to keep Vucevic out of the paint.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wizards are just such a terrible franchise. Why did they give Bradley Beal all that money? He's out once again. I mean, that's one of the worst moves. After they came off the John Wall, it's like, you don't learn from your mistakes? Okay, enough about the Wizards. The Golden State Warriors are plus 7.5 in Utah taking on the Jazz. Total of 233 here. Tyler, the Warriors are doing again, sitting a bunch of people. It's Jordan Poole season. Are you down for the pool party? Who do you like?
No, if I'm taking anybody here, it's got to be Utah. I mean, Steph's not playing. Wiggins isn't playing. Draymond's not playing. So it's going to be Clay, Jordan Poole, and all the role players here in Utah, where the Jazz have played well. Conley's questionable. I would rather have him in there than out. If he's in, definitely give me Utah. If he's out, I'll probably still be on Utah, but I'll probably approach it through a performance double instead. And I'll have those up on the playbook for everybody. Just need that news first.
The Conley news is so important for this team. They were finally got a couple wins, but they really need him in there. It's funny because they have a bunch of veterans to begin with. You'd think like a younger team would need the veteran point guard more. But for whatever reason, he really calms that team down and gets everyone in the sets. Maybe he's just better at feeding the
That's the thing is you need that vet at the point guard spot to grab the ball and tell everybody to slow down, set the play up. Where if it's a guy like Clarkson or Sexton, the play never stops. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. Oh, shit, we're down by 15. Let's keep running up and down, up and down, up and down. And then they're down by 20, and it's like, oh, now the game's over. So I think he is very key to this team.
Chris, what are your thoughts here on this game? And are we jamming Warriors in our lineup? But you talked about Kuminga earlier. I thought Poole would be the popular one.
Oh, no, Poole's popular. And as the day goes on, I'm curious to see how much more popular he gets, especially because he's dual eligible. So that can be, very interesting in regards to his ownership. But Kuminga right now is just like we talked about. It's looking between 60 to 65%. I mean, he has a legitimate shot of, being perfect to exceed expectations tonight. So you would need some form of an anomaly for him not to, get there. And honestly, I don't know if you guys have watched Kuminga lately, but he's had some really good games. He looks good, man. The future looks bright for them, especially if they can get Wiseman going in the G League. But
he's back. He's back. I think he might play tonight.
Okay.
They recalled him.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the minimum. He's 3K. I don't know what that looks like tonight in regards to the rotation, but with Draymond out and Wiggins out, you might want to maybe look at a guy named Anthony Lamb. He's dual eligible, small forward, power forward. He might get 20 minutes tonight. I'm not sure, but kid out of Vermont, he can actually shoot the three. And he's a hustle guy, right? So he can do it on both ends of the floor. Not saying that this is like a smash play, but I'm just saying at 3,300, you're looking for, a guy to fit in, especially in one of the late night hammers. If he does get that run, and let's say it is a blowout, he could even get 25 minutes. So, someone to keep into consideration right now. He's 3,300, and I would just keep an eye on him. But outside of that, I'm staying away from everything else. And I don't know if I truly want to bet on this game either. So
I'm sorry. Are you going to play the Kuminga chalk or no?
You got to, unfortunately, for some lineups. Like it's a very, he could play power forward and center, right? So that just opens up the floodgates for freaking the guard position. You can load up on guards, and so for me at 3,400, he's projected for about 34, 35 fantasy points. It's kind of difficult to say no, but I will say though, if you're playing 20 lineups, right? Let's just say you play the $4.20 max. Why not have like 5 lineups without him in it just to be a little bit different? Or, half the lineups with him. And if you're playing 150, yeah, you can definitely do that. But if you're just doing one single entry lineup and he does go off, unfortunately, you're not going to cash. Like, I think you're just left caught in the dust in the back of the field. So, but if he does, injury, God forbid, or, foul trouble, or, he just doesn't perform, then obviously you have a significant edge on the field. But I'm curious to see what his ownership is in single entry fields tonight.
And I can't wait to hear how these guys approach that, of course, on the Hardwood Show. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel that we're on right now, the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel, and you'll get notified when they go live because I think a lot, not just our shows, like a lot of the industry is really going to be talking about how to deal with something. I mean, in your projections all year, have you ever had a guy come up with that high in ownership? Is that the highest ownership you projected this year?
I want to say, I'm trying to think if Jose Alvarado was in comparison to him in one of the games earlier this year. There's been a couple times where like there's a guy that's significantly, highly owned, usually on a smaller slate, to be honest with you. On a
Tim Hardaway Jr. last night had to be like 70% owned.
Yeah. I didn't play the slate last night, but considering his price point and the short slate, absolutely. But to hear for this is 11 game slate, it is pretty interesting to see so much ownership going to him, because then it just opens up unique opportunities and the variances there for other lineups that don't have him in it. So, I could see a lot of guys who especially play 150 lineups tonight maybe get different and not have Kuminga in just so they can get interesting. I mean, but like I said, it's tough when you have a situation like that.
All right. And the last game of the night is the main event. The Boston Celtics take on the Phoenix Suns. Tyler might think it's going to be a finals preview. I don't. I'm not high on Phoenix. But Boston, to me right now, is by far the best team in the NBA right now. But we know how well Phoenix plays, especially at home. Boston, I can't find a reason to bet against them. But if you were, it'd be taking these Suns at home. Tyler, I didn't find much of an edge here on the side. I like the under on the total. I'm projecting this game to go under, which, hey, could happen, right? We saw like a game, I don't want to say playoff atmosphere last night, but it was definitely like regular season plus, right? Last night. It was that Lakers Cavaliers game had a lot of flair, had a lot of fire to it. I think that this one will as well. Tyler, let's start with you. Celtics Suns. Celtics laying 2 on the road.
I'm honestly just not even going to touch on the side spread because I think it's more of a coin flip. You could make your arguments for the Celtics, make your arguments for the Suns. Give me the under 230.5 here. One big reason. CP3's back. That is going to slow the tempo big time on the Sun side. I know Boston scores a ton of points, but in a game like this, Bridges could give these wings some troubles for Boston. I know Tatum's played out of his mind recently. You slow him down. Now Boston's got to play more defense, and they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. This could just become a slugfest on the defensive end, where I wouldn't be surprised if neither of these teams cracks 100 points here. I think that 230 is way too high. That best bet alert for me, spoiler alert, is going to be the under in this game. So that's my favorite spot here, under 230.5.
All right, and Tyler's being efficient because he knows I have to go pick winners here in 11 minutes. Of course, make sure you
got to parade our San Francisco flag since I can't do it for us.
I mean, I'd almost think we should bring you in just to victory lap.
I'm just handing you the flag now, and you got to go parade it for me.
All right, I will. Chris, what are your thoughts here on the Celtics and the Suns? I mean, definitely the most interesting game from a fan's perspective.
Love Tyler's call on the under. Both rate in the bottom half of the league in regards to pace. I think this is kind of like a dog-eat-dog battle between them. Love the fact that he mentioned Chris Paul's back end. The tempo is definitely going to slow down. A lot of pick and roll action. I think this is a smash spot for the under, to be honest with you. So love the under call of 230. And then from a GBP perspective, if you want, I think the only guys you can consider are maybe Ayton, Brown, and Tatum. But outside of that, I think I'm going to shy away from this game. But it is the last game of the night. So if you want to have some lingering Brown in your lineup or Tatum and they're not getting any ownership, they could easily sneak up and win you a GBP tonight. So keep that in mind as well.
All right. Well, there you have it. So that is all the games, but we are not done yet. It's time for the best bets. Tyler, you already gave it away, but go ahead, reinforce it. What's the best bet for you?
Yep, give me that under in that last game we just talked about, Boston Suns, 230.5. I think that game finished right around 210.
All right. Here's a fun question. Do you believe that CP3 tapped up Kim K? Chris, what do you think?
No, absolutely. I mean,
all right.
They have a legit franchise when it comes to the men that they've been with in the NBA. So CP3 was like the lingering piece that they needed, to complete the backcourt. So
the other thing too is there was that chick that talked about the Suns a couple years ago spread.
Oh yeah, the Starbucks chick.
And now it all comes back around. It's like, Devin Booker took CP3 with him one night when he was dating the other chick. It's like, it all makes sense now.
All right, let's do a real question, though. This is from our guy, Dave. Rudy Gobert, Clint Capella, or Bol at center? Who would you rather have of those three, Chris?
Oof. I'd probably go with Gobert, to be honest with you.
All right. But maybe a rebuild if you're going down between those things.
Yeah, it's just it's just a great matchup for him. He actually, against Indiana, I think earlier this year, he exceeded expectations greatly. I think he had like 45 fantasy points, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking at that earlier today. So, if he can get those double-digit shots, that's double-double upside. And if he's there with the defensive stats, sign me up. So I like Gobert at the 3. I think that's going to be a pace-up matchup as well. And, if Turner is not in, I think he just smashes.
Yeah, West Coast with a good question. Where's our guy Gregory Russo been? Our guy, the professor. He must be teaching classes. If you guys see him in different chats,
he pops up in a chat every once in a while. I caught him in the DFS chat the one day.
Next time you do, tell him to come back to the rundown, man. We need him. We need Eric Chang back.
Yep. Our guy, We the People's probably at work right now. That's why he's not in the chat. So
yeah, he says he doesn't like.
He'll be back tomorrow for the 2:00 show.
Yeah. All right. So Tyler took the under in the Suns game. Chris, what was your best bet for tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think this is just a smash spot for them. For me, I think they just crushed tonight. And I think Lou Dort out as well kind of brings some upside as well. So, for me, give me this Memphis lineup. Jaren Jackson's back in the lineup. Just too big down low with him and Adams. I think they smash here.
All right. Chris likes the Grizzlies to take out the Thunder, and I'm going to go under again. We're going under tonight, Tyler. After playing overs for it feels like a month and a half, right? I was looking. I don't think we RPB tagged like any overs in the month of October.
I don't think we did.
We were so scared, but now with these rule changes and these totals going up, the unders have become viable once again. I'm going to take the under in the Bucks and the Kings. 236, I think, is just too high for this game, and I think that's also a reason, right? Total 236, but not a lot of players popping on projections, right, Chris? Because maybe they set this line just a bit too high. Kings could be tired. Could be a chance for the Bucks to really make a statement. We'll see if my guys can keep it close, but I like under 236 there. So there you have it. That's what you have. And, of course, we're giving you an early look on the DFS, but today, boy, out of all days, things could drastically change. So make sure you remember runpuresports.com. Get those core plays. Get access to the Up to Lock show, and, of course, be able to ask questions in the Discord. So, Chris, any words of wisdom before we sign off?
No, I mean, words of wisdom. Interesting. I wasn't ready for that. I think
I usually go to the guest to sign us off, so we'll have you ready from now on.
Yeah. No, I think keep up to date with the slate today. Obviously, there's a couple great shows later on, and keep on the lookout for the cores. AP's heat map. I mean, all these great tools that Run Pure Sports provides. And another pleasure show with you guys. Hopefully we can hit this 3-team parlay that we just talked about, our best bets, because I fired it up. And
right.
looking forward to someone shipping tonight. Let's go.
And I'll tell you what, Chris, Tyler and I are waiting because our guests usually ship when they come on. So we're expecting a big night.
Fred, you told me that. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that.
So we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it from you.
We're getting that Wednesday screenshot in the group chat.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So
I love that.
All right, there you have it. In 5 minutes, I'll be picking winners with Holden and Travis Mangone, and of course, I'll be repping the winner that Tyler gave out on the show last week. So that should be a lot of fun. Make sure you're subscribed. Give us a thumbs up, guys. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, breaking down the NBA slate. And if you want winners 7 days a week, head on over to runpuresports.com. Take advantage of the NBA betting playbook. 11-8 on RPB tags so far this month. And this is our worst month. 11-8, we're down. So that we got it. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Run Pure.